So hello and welcome to Kitty Talks. We share inspirational life stories that empower you to create yours. And today I have with me a guest, a wonderful, beautiful woman all the way from South Africa. I have Niyc Pidgeon. Welcome to Kitty Talks.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, there's going to be a great conversation. Niyc and I have spoken previously to this podcast, and I know this woman is going to deliver much, much wisdom to you. But for those of you that don't know, Niyc is a positive psychologist. She's a global success coach, and she's also a HayHouse author. And I'd love to hear more about that story, and I will come on to that. But Niyc, do you mind sharing with my audience, just tell us a bit about who you are and what you're doing in the world at the moment?
Of course. Thank you so much. So I have many strings to my bow. I'm a positive psychologist and a success coach, and they really form the two parts of the way I do life and business. Mm-hmm. The positive psychology very much forms the thought leadership side of things, and then the business coaching is the businessy side of things, and both work perfectly together. They complement each other. I support and empower women to create unstoppable success, but unstoppable success within themselves as well as within these businesses.
Fantastic. And it's beautiful the way they work so well together. And I think that's one of the things I'd love to explore about your history, because obviously those things have come to you and now you've managed to marry them really beautifully. But tell the audience, because I know right at the beginning of your story, you were going to be an engineer. Like, that doesn't sound like what you're doing today.
That's right. Absolutely. So I was originally signed up and I got 2 scholarships to go to Loughborough and Newcastle universities in the UK to do this study of cars and engineering. Now, I know we've chatted before and I absolutely love cars. I've grown up around the racing and things like that, but I was very much kind of putting myself down this path because it was what my dad wanted me to do. Mm-hmm. So he always said to me, Niyc, I believe that you should you keep doors open, because if you do maths and physics, if you go down this route of engineering, you're going to be a girl in a guy's world and you're going to make a lot of money. Now, my goal at that time was to make £30,000 in a year. Wow. I was like, that's going to be absolutely amazing. But I very quickly learned that wasn't what was right for me, because it wasn't my choice.
I was going to say, is it fair to say that was your dad's dream for you rather than your evolving dream for yourself?
Absolutely. And I think it was a little bit of ego in there as well, thinking, I can work in Formula One and this is going to be really cool. And I was making choices from the wrong place and space.
So how did that turn out? Because, I'm a great believer in when we're doing things because we should be doing, or we feel like we should be doing them rather than what we really want to do, the universe will recorrect us and put us on a different path. So how did that play out for you?
So the way that it initially came about was because my partner at the time, he was a professional cricket player. And every year in the British winter time, he went to Australia to do warm weather training. So I've been dodging the winters for a long time now. So we went to Australia and he said to me, he was like, Niyc, I know that you signed up to these degrees, but do you want to come with me? And I mean, an invitation to go and spend 6 months in Australia, why not? I was 17, 18 at the time, 18 I must have been. And when we were over there, he was seeing a sports psychologist. His name was actually Nicky as well, which is hilarious. So he came back from seeing a sports psychologist and he said I was lying there on the bed as you do. And he said to me, like, when you're out on the cricket pitch and you're into bat and you're standing there and you're looking out and you're looking around you, don't look for the fielders, but look for the gaps in between the fielders instead.
Right.
That hit me like a ton of bricks. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness, we do this in daily life. We're continually looking for the problems and putting our attention on what's going wrong and what we don't want, but we need to be focused on the opportunities.
So that just massively resonated with you and kind of like...
And I was like, oh my goodness, this whole mindset thing is amazing. I really, really loved that. His dad had also put some positive quotes into our passport holder. And at the time, Instagram wasn't around. I mean, I'm showing my age now. So there was none of these pages with all the quotes on. And he put these in there. I was like, whoa, if it's to be, it's up to me. And how, whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. So all of this kind of built up to help me make the decision that there was actually a calling and an intuitive knowing around this area of psychology and mindset and human behavior.
So was that the sort of first time you started to then follow your passions and go after what was it, your highest excitement, basically?
Yeah, I love that. Highest excitement. Love that.
Yeah, it's one of my catchphrases. So you follow your highest excitement to the best of your ability without any expectation on the outcome, because the universe can fill in better than we ever anticipate.
I love that. I'm totally going to quote you on that.
I came psychology degree.
Came back to the UK, did 3 psychology degrees.
3?
Yeah, and I decided it's like the band, the 3 degrees. So I came back and just fell in love with not just psychology, but positive psychology. So that's the science of how individuals, communities, and businesses thrive. So we look at human strength and virtue rather than disorder and disease. And what better environment and topic to be working in than how we can be our best selves.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, because I did a psychology degree and I got bogged down with all the science, actually. That was the thing that really put me off. So did you discover the positive psychology later, or because of the cricket player, was that something that you initially went after?
So I went and did psychology with sport, so a dual discipline. And then in my final year of that undergrad degree, I did a thesis. And the thesis was all around gratitude and how it can actually affect your performance. So the reason that I did that was because one of the lecturers, the head lecturer from UEL in London, which was one of the 2 universities in the world at the time that did positive psychology, she came to Newcastle University and she was teaching all of this stuff. And I was sat there in the audience. I was like, oh my goodness, this makes more sense than anything I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
When you get that rush of excitement and energy, I just knew that this was meant to be the place where I took the next step forwards.
Well, of course. And, it's one of the things we talk about a lot in the podcast, actually, because obviously gratitude is such a high vibrational emotion and it puts you in such a positive state and a positive place. And then obviously that kind of rolls and you attract more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's literally my favorite thing from PosSci. It's the thing that I practice daily. I say dropping G-bombs because my brother picked me up from the airport sometime last year when I was on the way back from Los Angeles. And he was driving me back and we're having a conversation. I said, I'm just so grateful to be home. And he said, Nick, I was wondering how long it was going to take you to drop G-bomb. You're always saying how grateful you are for everything.
Yeah, but what a beautiful way. And that's the only way to live. Like, having come from a depression background, I was doing the opposite, Nikki. I was looking at what wasn't working. And of course, that's the bit that grows and expands. So it sounds like you've got it nailed, like literally always going after the gratitude and what's happening right, really.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Like, why feel worse when you can feel better? It's a choice.
So how did you go from positive psychology? Like, talk us through your entrepreneurial journey.
So when I look back, I mean, I was always great at the business side of things. I did my business studies A-level a year early and got 100% at school.
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it, that I didn't pursue that at that time. And we'd ran a business project in school called Young Enterprise that I was the managing director of. So there was little kind of indications there that I really enjoyed this side of things. But again, I took that big kind of swerve around engineering, psychology, and looped back. Because of the background in sports psychology and that kind of professional athlete influence that I'd had, my friend's mum and I ran a project where we would go into the professional sports teams and we would teach them the psychology skills and the business skills to help them take what they'd learned on the pitch and transition out of sport and into business. So when I was still in university, I was actually lecturing in universities as well. So I was teaching entrepreneurship, positive psychology, and how you can actually blend the two together to create success. So it started about 10 years ago. And then from there, I decided when I graduated from my master's degree, I wanted to go and launch my own business. Didn't want to work for anyone, wanted to launch into this awesome career.
And so from there, did you go into coaching straight away?
I went in, I kind of did it backwards. I'm going to be really honest.
Yeah, please do. Honesty is so much more refreshing.
So I've always had a love for speaking and I wanted to do my own events. So I did it. I did the coaching as well alongside it, but I really had this big focus on standing out and doing these events every month in my hometown. But I learned very quickly that because of the time that it takes to promote an event and actually set it up, it's not great on your cash flow. So I put all of this attention on to doing what I loved, but not looking at the business model.
Okay.
And very quickly, I got into the situation where I was having fantastic months cash flow wise, and then having months where I earned like £500. And I was on this emotional roller coaster because it was on financial roller coaster as well. And it was really challenging because I was in that space and place thinking, do I get a job? Do I focus on my personal training, which I'd done all the way through university? Do I try and sell something else? Where do I go from here? And I was trying to balance everything and I became incredibly burned out. So I was doing what I loved, but I was pushing myself far too hard to try and make it work.
And then did that, because I know you had some weird and wonderful things happen to you. Like I wrote down, it was adrenal fatigue and exhaustion. Was that when you got that?
Yeah. And that's kind of like, I see that as the modern day entrepreneur's lifestyle disease. Because our society has become so focused on accomplishment and so focused on getting the to-do list done, working so hard that we sometimes forget ourselves in the process. And I had not just forgotten myself, I'd completely lost myself. And what I was putting out on the front side of my business was happy-go-lucky, positive psychologist, be happy all of the time. And on the inside, I was completely crumbling. And that was health issues, that was trauma that I was dealing with. And it all came to a head. And the universe said, stop exactly where you are. We're going to give you these crazy challenges to deal with. And you're not going to be able to work at all.
Oh, really? So you were out of action completely?
Totally out of action, because before I realised that I'd got adrenal fatigue, I actually had an incident where I cut my eye open with a contact lens and I got a flesh-eating bug in my eye that can make you go blind in a week. So it's not nice, is it?
No.
I always wondered, do I tell people that part or not?
Yeah, wow.
So I was in and out of hospital for 10 months with that. And during that same space of time, my dad got sick. He had heart surgery. I got adrenal fatigue, put on weight, became really, really exhausted and had to completely stop, because the way that this collection of symptoms presents itself is that you get extreme exhaustion, which is progressive. So if you don't do anything about it and you keep on pushing, it gets worse.
Right.
Got to the stage where I actually couldn't get out of bed. It just felt so awful, like almost like a low mood and depression kind of came over me. And one day when I was sleeping, I was relaxing. I remember I was in my bed, I got up and I went to go to the bathroom, and I had this flashback to a few years previous to that, where I remembered getting raped. Now, that chain of events sounds bizarre, but the only way that I can make sense of it is that it was something that I was blocking out, which is...
Oh, I see. So your body was saying you need to deal with this, and actually we're going to make you stop until you actually look at this trauma and deal with it. Wow. The body is incredible. Like, so was that a part of a healing journey then? Did you start going down the healing path?
For sure. I mean, it gave me a big wake up call because I'd been very busy and I'd been
Blocking
purposefully,
it out, yeah.
I didn't have to deal with it. So it's part of a like a post-traumatic stress.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
So it's in that instance, it's called rape trauma syndrome, and it's you ignore it, you block it out, it didn't happen, it isn't real,
Yeah.
and then you have that wake up call. So I went very deep into the positive psychology practices that I'd been preaching for so long. That made me feel great because I already felt good, but it was time to actually put it to work.
Yeah. And we are energetic. So as much as you can practice, like for our listeners, if you're listening to this, as much as you can practice gratitude and keep your vibration high, if you still have trauma that you're holding on to, that trauma is very heavy and will weigh you down. And actually, it's much better to look at that trauma and release it and deal with it, because it will help you energetically free up energy to enable you then to focus on what it is you want going forward. Whereas if you ignore it, you're kind of on a roller coaster, because as you probably experience, you have almost like artificial highs, which you can't maintain because the rest of your vibration is pulling you back down.
Yeah, so true. Exactly.
So well done for looking at that though, because that's heavy stuff, to have to look at and deal with.
It was terrifying at the time. And I mean, now, like, I'm grateful now that I can actually talk about it and share it.
Yeah.
At the time, it was something that was so buried inside of me that I couldn't bring myself to think about it. And I remember feeling so scared when I woke up in the morning and like, I didn't know how I was going to get through the day. This is the only way that I can describe it. It felt like my head was inside of a box and I couldn't think any thoughts outside of that immediate box, and how am I going to get through the next hour? And it's like your whole reality closes in on you so tightly that it brings you into this state and place of extreme anxiety and fear. So for me, it was practicing a lot of meditation, a lot of faith-based tools. So like diving into like angelic support and looking at the ethereal side of things as well as the scientific side of things that gave me that comfort and those breakthroughs.
Fantastic. And obviously I would imagine you felt such a relief, like obviously you kind of, it's almost like a weight is lifted when we deal with our stuff, and actually we become more powerful human beings because our energy is freed up, and I think our journey then, when we are going in the right direction, speeds up because we're dealing with less baggage almost.
Absolutely. So it's like every step that you take, it might feel challenging at the time, but it does lighten the load. And it really allows you a deeper understanding of other people's struggles. So especially in our industry, working in personal development and working in coaching, I now see a woman's strength when she doesn't see it for herself. Because I know that you can go through really horrific things in life, and I now feel better than I did before. I feel more whole. I feel more awake. I feel like I can take on anything now.
And I remember when we spoke previously, you were telling me about the Kundalini yoga. Was that part of the healing process?
Yeah, for sure. So it's been the best practice that I've done in the past 5 years. It's the yoga of awareness, and it involves a lot of chanting. Sometimes you dance around the room. Sometimes you shake as aggressively as you can. Sometimes you pretend to be animals, and it sounds completely bizarre.
Cool.
But every class has an intention. So it's very much worked around the nervous system and how you can heal, how you can recognize, how you can grow, how you can start to receive more. So I utilize the practice in a whole range of different ways: healing relationships, taking responsibility for myself, my life, manifesting money, all of these different things.
So was that the pivotal shift in your entrepreneurial business life as well? Because I know you're one of the things I really admired about you is you're really honest about being an overnight success taking 10 years, because it's so true. Like, we don't just pop out and we're really suddenly successful. Was that the key thing that shifted your business as well? Or?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I did a lot wrong first. I kind of think I had about 3 years of doing things wrong before I had 3 years of doing things right. And I had this do or die moment where I'd left the UK to write my first book, and I'd sold my car, I'd moved out of my apartment, and I'd gone to the airport with my suitcase and a little bag of crystals. I remember my dad saying, "Why are you taking all of those stones with you?" Got on this adventure, and I'd launched this online business, and it had completely failed because I sold a group coaching program and I had one person sign up, and one person isn't a group.
No.
So in that moment, I had a choice to make, and everyone around me was telling me, "Nick, you can't do this. You can't be an entrepreneur. Just give up. Don't do it. Go and get a job. It's safer. It's more secure." So I completely ignored everyone.
Good for you.
Yeah, exactly. I went again into these practices. I always ask myself, right, Nick, what do you know that works? What have you done in the past that creates results? And what would you teach someone else to do? So from that, I was like, right, you need to move your body. So we know that physical exercise shifts your mindset and your well-being. Move your body. You need to meditate, and you need to get super clear on what it is you want to create. And I knew that something that could help with all of that was Kundalini. So I was in Wellington in New Zealand at the time, and I looked for a class and I couldn't find one anywhere. Now I went into the super spiritual, so it was really strange that I couldn't find this class. But what I did find was an affirmations workshop.
Right.
So I went on to create this little postcard with glitter glue and everything that said, I'm fearlessly visible and I boldly shine my light. Really strange that we're talking about this today, because I actually shared that quote this morning. So I created this thing that I almost used as like, right, okay, this is how I'm going to do life and business from now on. And I ended up finding a Kundalini class as well. Went into all of this practice and generated in that first month $35,000.
So
now,
same course. So same thing you're selling, or different? You shifted.
Yeah, shifted. So I applied business strategy as well as these mindset things, but I shifted from doing group coaching to doing one-on-one coaching.
Right.
And I still had that group program that I ran, but because I'd focused on just selling one-to-one, instead of selling one-to-many, that shifted this flow, like almost like an avalanche of awareness, and I was getting visible and I was showing up and being proud of who I was and what I did. Previously, I was scared. I was scared to tell anyone I was a positive psychologist because I thought that people wouldn't understand what it was. And it was only when I stepped into myself really, that things started to flow.
So what's your advice to someone listening? You know, they're listening to this. They're obviously, a lot of our listeners are coaches, they're female coaches, and maybe they're having the same experience. Like they've got this dream, they've got this product, and the online space is so busy. You know, it's incredibly busy. There's so many people out there. What's your advice for our listeners that's maybe experiencing the same situation?
Yeah, it's busy. It's definitely noisy now, but the way to break through the noise is to be more powerfully yourself in all you do. Now, when I started, I was looking at other people's copy and other people's ads, and I was thinking, should I do it like that or like that? But what really worked was me actually having the space to connect in with myself and say, who am I? What do I think and feel? What am I a stand for? Why am I actually doing this? And how can I verbalize and communicate that to the people that I want to serve? And that's what I really recommend, because in a noisy, crowded marketplace, there can be 10 business coaches in the same strategy, but in their own different way. So the more that you can be you and bring your style and flair to what you do, the more people are going to align with you and love or hate you. You don't want everyone to kind of like you or not be bothered by you. You want raving fans and people that don't really want to listen.
I know that's such good advice, because, you know, we're all in our own lane and I think that's one of the things, isn't it, about Instagram and whatever else. You kind of get distracted and think, oh, maybe I should do it like this. And actually, you are the only person who knows what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. It's about having that inner confidence in ourselves to grow into who we actually are, really.
Absolutely.
Mm. And talk to me about the book, because obviously then you manifested yourself a HayHouse book deal. Is there a good story around that?
Yeah, so I was a HayHouse author long before I was actually a HayHouse author, because I did work inside so that I felt like that before I ever achieved it. Now, I got my book deal because I won a competition, and it was the HayHouse Writers Workshop that they run in London, Australia, Maui, and New York.
Bristol. There's one in Bristol. Yeah, I was looking at one in Bristol coming up soon.
Oh, awesome. Maybe they moved London to Bristol then. That's cool. So that's what I entered. And I had this idea to write a positive psychology book. And I just knew at the time, I knew I had to kind of show how much I wanted it. So I'd gone to the London one. I'd spoke to Reed Tracy, who was the CEO, and I said to him, "Hi, I'm Niyc Pidgeon. I'm a positive psychologist. I'd love to know, do you feel like there's space for a millennial generation female version of Robert Holden?" Because he's kind of like within the HayHouse brand. The happiness guru.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely yes. So I spent these days, I went to that writer's workshop. I then moved to Australia and went to the writer's workshop there and entered both of them. I spent 3 months doing my book proposal and changed Now Is Your Chance from a 12 chapter book to a 30-day guide.
Right.
So a lot of evolution during that time. And then I went on to win the competition.
Fantastic.
For me, it was, and I don't know if you noticed this, like for me, I was like seeing 444 everywhere. It was after the writer's workshop, the change that I got from my train fare, it was on a bus, it was on a taxi. And I looked at the meaning, it's my lucky number now. And it's, you are on exactly the right path. You are divinely guided to do the thing even right now.
Beautiful. But I love the point you made about you did the work before you got the deal, because that's so true. Like, it sounds to me like you just made up your mind and you were embodying it and owning it, and you were a HayHouse author. And consequently, it's like the universe has to catch up with us when we do that.
Yeah, for sure. So my assistant at the time, when I left the UK, she gave me a good luck card. And on the front of the good luck card, it said, "To a 6-figure coach and best-selling HayHouse author." And I wasn't either of those things at the time. But I took that and I was like, "Thank you so much." And I really took that into my heart and I meditated on it every day. And I used to visualize walking into the HayHouse office with a big bunch of flowers. And I've done that now.
Fantastic. And that's such an amazing story, because it really gives people hope listening. You know, if it's something that you want to manifest and pull into your life, it's the vibration, it's the feeling, it's, you know, pretending you're already there. Like I think I said to you, Nikki, about getting engaged to my husband. I was wearing the engagement ring for ages. And of course, the universe catches up with us. Yeah, it does work. This stuff really does work. You know, you just got to get the hang of it, really.
Yeah, for sure. It's like it's putting one foot in front of the other and not expecting it to happen overnight, but trusting that when you do the work and you trust and act and practice without that expectation that you were talking about and without the anxiety that it won't happen is actually what makes it happen for you.
And talk to me about intuition. Like, you know, it sounds to me like you've developed some really amazingly strong practices. Like, so you still do Kundalini yoga on a regular basis, and is that your way of tuning in the Kundalini yoga, or do you meditate? Or
yeah, I do a morning ritual as well. So for me, like even just a short meditation is enough to be intentional about my day. So I'll do that in the morning. I'll do my gratitude practice, my affirmations that I write down. And I'll always have a crazy dance party. So I just love like moving energy and getting into that peak state so that you're ready for your day. Then a couple of times a week at the minute, I'll go to a Kundalini class, and that'll be creating real space. So it's like a 90-minute practice, and it just allows you to get that high vibration. I don't know if you've been before or if you've done like a meditation where you feel like inside of your head, you've actually got a higher vibration, higher level of access and consciousness.
Beautiful. Yeah, and movement's so important. Like, it's so true, because we also are more open to higher states of consciousness when we move. So, like, you can do a spin class and you might get an idea that you wouldn't have necessarily thought of. It's because you're in that higher vibration. You're closer. There's kind of less of a way to go for you to get those ideas from source energy, really.
Absolutely. And I think it's something that if you feel tired and you feel like you don't want to do something and things aren't working, it's very easy to go into that downward spiral of everything's so hard. I can't do anything today, or that meditation's not going to work, or I don't feel like going to the gym. But I always say, like, just start. So go and do a 10-minute walk and that'll shift your energy, or do a 5-minute meditation, make it small, and it'll become more consistent. Because the worst thing that you can do when you're trying to get out of a funk is forget the practices that work. Similarly, if you're actually feeling good, you should still do these practices to feel better.
And it's so easy, I think, when we get in a funk, like, we literally, we tell ourselves a disempowering story, and then we start to believe the disempowering story, and then we kind of sink kind of lower. So I suppose the point is to catch yourself when you're in that disempowering story, and then do something like move your body, move your energy to get yourself out of it and keep yourself in that high vibration.
Yeah, for sure. I had like an affirmation that I used for that. So it was, I forgive myself for getting caught in a downward spiral of negative thoughts and emotions, because the only person I'm hurting is myself.
Oh, yeah, very powerful. Yeah, beautiful. So what is next for you, my darling? Like, I know that you've just, well, are we allowed to talk about what's happened to you recently? Because I'd love to hear the story.
So I just got engaged, which is really exciting. And I always hoped that I would get engaged, but I thought, honestly, that I'm 31 now, thought I might end up like a bit of a Bridget Jones. So amazing news. I met Greg a year ago, and he is absolutely fantastic. We met from other ends of the world. I came together in Cape Town, and we've been together for a year. So he proposed last weekend after we've been on a hot air balloon for our 1 year anniversary.
Fabulous. Oh, congratulations. That's amazing. Well, so when's the wedding?
2020. I'm looking at.
You need time.
Yeah, a little bit of space and time to enjoy being engaged and to do some nice planning as well. And because it will be a destination wedding for everyone to put that in their diaries as well.
Oh, you're going to have people flying from all over the place, I'd have thought.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah. Are you going to get married in Cape Town?
Yeah.
Or in South Africa? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. And what's next for you business-wise? What are you manifesting next?
So there'll be another book on the cards. So the next book's called Force of Nature, and I'm really excited for that one. It takes Now Is Your Chance a little bit deeper, and it focuses a lot on finding this strength through struggle. I was just talking with HayHouse about it this morning. So they love the idea, and so that'll be kind of unfolding. Again, it's not a rush. I want it to be like an evolution and really draw in a lot of the experiences that I've had over the last few years as well. And then the coaching programs that we run, the business accelerators, always looking at growing and supporting amazing women to create a bigger impact in our world through those as well.
And your goal is how many women? It's like a million, was it 1 million women?
1 million women, yeah. 1 million women through programs or reading books. So actually creating a tangible change and not just an influence.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And where can people find you?
So on my website at nicpidgeon.com, and also on Facebook and Instagram. So Niyc Pidgeon on Facebook and Niyc Pidge on Instagram.
Fabulous. And we will have all of Nikki's details in the show notes. So if you've missed anything there, you'll be able to find it. But no, Nikki, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Like a really fantastic. Yeah. Well, it's just such a great example of someone who didn't give up on their dreams and kept going. And then obviously learned all this amazing stuff on the way to help her manifest her wonderful life today.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week again on Kitty Talks. Bye-bye.
Well, bye.
Bye.